The bitterly cold winter months of 1944 brought many struggles and hardships for the Allied troops in World War II. The U.S. Army lacked winter supplies and were suffering a battle of their own against the miserable snow and storms, especially in the western front on the mountain range of Belgium known as the Ardennes. Dwight Eisenhower was appointed by President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill to control the U.S. line. On the other side, the Nazis' notorious leader Hitler was growing desperate, striving to develop a plan that wouldn't prolong the war, but end it with the Germans emerging victorious. The Nazis had lost an abundance of land during previous battles, including D-Day, and needed to gain back control of the Western Front in Belgium. Hitler's plan relied on four key factors: the element of surprise, bad weather to nullify the air superiority of the Allies, an inability for the Allies to provide a prompt counterattack, and an immediate and hasty advance by the German troops. Only the first two of these factors were imminent. The Nazi surprise attack left the U.S. Army asking, how was Hitler able to round up 200,000 troops and almost 2,000 tanks during a time of weakness for the Nazis? Hitler gathered an army of corrupt adolescent boys ranging from age 15 to 17 years old. These teenagers were about 4 to 5 years old when the Nazis gained control in 1919, and were raised as very corrupt individuals ready and eager to die for their infamous leader Hitler. Because of their age, they were merely strong in numbers, not military experience or skill. This children's crusade was stationed in the mountainous region where Luxembourg, Germany, and Belgium met, known as the Eifel. The U.S. Army's obliviousness to this newly formed army and their plots to attack were as detrimental as the Pearl Harbor attacks 4 years earlier on the morning of December 7, 1941. About 2,400 Americans were killed, and about 1,300 were wounded. After Hitler developed his army, he then devised his plan. He was going to strike where he knew the Allies were weak, the Ardennes. On this 80-mile front, the Allies had only 4 major divisions. The Nazis planned to break through their military line and proceed to the Meuse River. They would then travel up the Meuse River to the city of Antwerp, cutting off the U.S.'s port and ceasing their supply shipment. Hitler believed that by doing this, the Nazis would regain control of the Western Front, the Russians would pull out of the war due to the Allies' failures, and then the Allies would be forced to withdraw from the war. The fact was, the Nazis were growing weak, and the war was expected to end with the U.S. and the British Allies emerging victorious. It was just a matter of when. Dawn, December 16, 1944. The attack began. The Nazis started attacking several units to break through the U.S. line. Even larger, more populated units were forced to surrender due to the vast size and unexpected attack of the Nazi forces. One of the largest mass surrenders occurred during this battle, with a count of 7,500 American GIs defeated. By breaking through this line in the Ardennes, the Nazis created a bulge, thus giving the Battle of the Bulge its name. As the Germans strove to make it to the Meuse River, General Dwight Eisenhower and his fierce, persistent troops pushed the Nazis southward away from the city of Namur, located on the Meuse River. Under the military leader Hasso von Manteuffel, the 6th Panzer Army made it the furthest to the town of Dinant on the Meuse River by Christmas Eve. By Christmas Day, the American troops defeated this army. The U.S. received the most fire at St. Vith, Eisenborn Ridge, Hoffelise, and Bastogne. These areas were being defended by the 101st Airborne Division. The 106th Division at St. Vith was nearly annihilated until the brilliant defense led by General Bruce C. Clark drove the German army deeper into the Ardennes in a bloody battle. Throughout the battle, the U.S. lost 20,000 soldiers, while 40,000 were wounded, 20,000 were captured, and 80 tanks were destroyed. The defensive efforts of the U.S. Army are greatly admired still today. As the admirable Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill stated, "This is undoubtedly the greatest American battle of the war, and will, I believe, be regarded as an ever-famous American victory." On the offensive side, Nearly 30,000 Germans were killed, 40,000 wounded, and 30,000 were captured. After weeks of continuous warfare, the battle finally ended on January 22, 1945, with the fierce Allies emerging victorious.